Hi everyone, I'm going to do a teaching session on what is mindfulness compassion and really help you understand the different elements of it. And as you become more aware of it, then you could start applying it. So, mindfulness of compassion is based on a model by Neff, and it has three main components. One is becoming aware of challenges that you're experiencing, and two, responding to it with compassion, and three, feeling connected with as part of common humanity. And what that really means is rather than feeling like, oh, I must be so different because I'm going through this and something must be wrong with me, you recognize no, there's a connectiveness with other people in the class, in the school, in your family, in the world, that many people are going through this. And so I'll explain that a little bit more in detail. So mindfulness self-compassion is really about learning to be a really good friend to yourself as you experience these challenges that you're going through. So I'm going to just use my notes here. So there's three main components in addition. So it's responding with self-kindness rather than self-judgment or self-criticism. Another one is recognizing common humanity, which I just spoke with, rather than going into isolation. When you're not feeling great, you're going through things, being able to connect with others and yourself and recognize, no, this is normal. It's part of the human experience to suffer and experience adversity in some capacities, and this helps us to be able to deal better with whatever it is we're experiencing. And finally, there is an element of mindfulness versus over-identification, which I will explain to you in a little bit. So in self-kindness versus self-judgment, we're treating ourselves with care as we would respond to a friend. So, we often wouldn't, to our dearest friend, we wouldn't say something cruel when they're going through a difficult time or when they're suffering, or when we become aware that they're having difficulty with something. So compassion includes the wish to alleviate the suffering or the difficulty or the pain or the adversity. So how that works is by including a component of self-compassion to protect, to comfort, and to respond to ourselves in a positive way. So when I talk about mindfulness is, I'm aware that I'm hurting here, or I'm aware that I'm suffering, or I'm aware that I'm going through a difficult time, I'm aware that I'm in pain. So that awareness of your body and your mind, or your experiences that you're going through, is really a great first step. And then you want to make sure that you balance that, so that we don't want to suppress it and say, I'm not feeling this way, or this is not what's happening. But at the same time, we want to allow it to be. But at the same time, we don't want to be dramatic and over-identify with it. Like, it's the end of the world. Oh my God, I could die. And make it bigger than it really is. And so it helps us really to stay connected to the present experience without over-identifying. And so some of you, I know for me, one of my biggest things is sometimes when you're being compassionate and open, you may feel like this is, you're more vulnerable to be hurt, or someone taking advantage of your kindness or whatsoever. But in fact, I would say that, being compassionate, having self-compassion, that doesn't necessarily mean being open or being a doormat to, walk on and to always like respond with kindness no matter how someone treats you. No, in fact, according to Kristen Neff, that there is a yin and a yang to self-compassion. And so that means there's an opening and a closing, and there is a internal shift of, you want to be kind and loving and supportive and gentle and tender to yourself. At the same time, there's this fierce strength outwardly that can come, and that is maybe you need to protect yourself from, let's say, someone that's hurting you, or someone that's saying that's a circumstance that is difficult. And an act of self-compassion is removing yourself from that situation or standing up for yourself. And so there is that element of like nurture and protect, and this other fierce other component where you might have to pull away or make some really resilient choices. And so these are some components, and just reading from the notes, that the yin of self-compassion contains the attributes of just being with our pain in a tender way, or comforting, reassuring, and validating ourselves. It might be loneliness, it might be confusion, whatever that pain is. It might be the chaos of a pandemic and the uncertainty with it, and just reassuring, comforting, and validating ourselves. And the yang component is acting in the world, where you have that fierce strength, where you are protecting, you're providing, and you're motivating yourself. So it goes beautifully hand in hand, and it's referred to as a strong back and front. So these are some elements of what mindfulness self-compassion is. So I'm going to stop here, and as the video ends, I just want you to jot down what you took away from this video, and write down some components that you were able to understand, you were able to learn. What are some things that you heard that you liked, and some things that maybe you might find difficult. So once this video ends, take some time to reflect and take some notes. Okay, and thank you.